My sermon is called Grace in the Unknown, or the Dao of UU. Now, I first learned about the Chinese religious tradition, Taoism, in a class in undergrad. Taoism teaches, you see, that we should live into the Tao, into the path or the way. That's what Tao means. It also teaches that the way is unique to each person. And most importantly, that the Tao can never be known. See, once it's known, it's no longer the way. So let me summarize that. We have to live it. It's different for everyone, and we don't know what it is. Okay, needless to say, I was a bit confused by that in undergrad. But recently, however, as life seems to have become much more beyond my control, I have also begun to understand the Tao. You see, it's not some yellow brick road that we can see for miles and miles and miles along, and all we have to do is skip ahead to wherever the road leads. It's not that. We can't see down the road. We can't know the Tao, the way, because the Tao is a path through the unknown. It's a path that only unfolds as we take each step. We can only see this path as we go along it. That's why it's unknown until we take it. And it only appears if we let it unfold, if we don't predict or force it. And what's more, I now understand that it's not just during this time of coronavirus, of COVID-19, of quarantine, but we have always, and we will always live in the unknown. Our unique path is now, has always been, and will always be our personal way through the unknown. I get it. Unfortunately, it's too late to get an A in that class in undergrad, but it's not too late to practice living well into each unknown moment. The blog personaldao.com explains Taoism just a little more concisely. It says Taoism is just acceptance of your life as it is. In other words, accepting that life is full of unknowns at all times. But why, you ask, do there have to be so many unknowns? As if I didn't have enough on my plate. You see, the unknown is necessary. Mystery, it's the source of understanding. We can't learn from what we already know. We learn from the unknown. We break and move through thresholds into the mysterious so that we learn from what emerges. We have no choice but to surrender to the faith that if we do not resist the Tao, the path, the way, the next step will appear. It will. Now, you see what I did there? I used two soul matters themes, thresholds in May and the sacred term surrender. Although I was mistaken about surrender being the May term, May's sacred word is actually blessing. And that's perfect, because the blessing in this is that in moving into mystery, into the unknown with grace and with faith, we are actually released from worry, at least in theory. Taoism does teach a person to let go of expectations. It does. And that alone can be very worrisome. I know, I get it. So why don't we start with this simple advice? Start simple. Create only one expectation at a time. Make it something that you personally and exclusively can accomplish. For example, a smile or a single breath. This then becomes something you empower to happen. Because anything you expect to happen that depends on a force outside of yourself, it sets you up to potentially be disappointed rather than just embracing what comes. Again, from the blog personaldao.com, Taoism is opening up a smile to enable possibility. Taoism is following your breath to find peace. In other words, living into just one breath before we take another. Lao Tzu, the Taoist philosopher, talks about this as non-being and non-doing. And this doesn't mean doing nothing or being nothing, although during this quarantine, I've personally sat around a lot doing nothing, but it's not what it means. What it means is embracing all, excluding nothing. It means not interfering, but rather riding along with our ever-evolving universe and dancing with it in each moment. Okay, Josh, can you be a little less new agey for just a moment and tell me what this means to me now? Okay, to relate this to our current situation more directly, we were accustomed to knowing things, or to think we knew things, to being pretty sure that we'll go to work or school tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. Pretty sure that our favorite restaurant will have our favorite dish when we want it. Pretty sure that we'll always have the choice of 2-ply or lotion-infused toilet paper in vast quantities every time we go to the store. Now, however, it seems there is much more uncertainty. What we have to understand is, in reality, living with uncertainty is not unique to this time. No one can or ever has been able to guarantee what will happen from moment to moment, day to day. We have just become, because of this pandemic, more immediately aware of the unknown. And the blessing again of this awareness is that there is a precious opportunity right now to be able to grow in our ability to live with the unknown, to live with the paradox we tend to avoid, but we must accept that although some things are in our control, most are not. To learn not to predict so much or worry so much about what we don't know and can't control, but rather to find our own path, our own Dao through it by, in theological terms, and here's the key, finding the grace in each moment, regardless of what may come. And by grace, I mean the loving, kind, caring connection to all life. The grace that is inherent in our Unitarian Universalist principles, inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, the right of conscience, the goal of world community with peace, free and responsible search for truth, respect for the independent web of all existence of which we are a part. These are our principles. These are what I call the Dao of UU. Now, we've been forced to live more consciously in the unknown now. So let's take advantage of the situation to practice that acceptance without fear, but with courage, without anger, but with love, without resentment, but with grace. Having said all this, I'll conclude with a concession that there are some things we can know or be pretty confident about. We can be pretty sure, for instance, that a politician will say or do something stupid or selfish daily. That's not necessarily knowledge to take comfort in. But knowledge that we can take comfort in is that each moment will move to the next. To be sure, some next moments will be wondrous and some will be more difficult than we care to consider. But only if we embrace this moment, each moment we are in with grace, only then can we be sure that we are on the right path to the next.